is this really crazy saying that Jordan Peterson said. I think it's both, like, it's a part of its responsibility, but I'll say it. It's useful. You're responsible for yourself and everyone else. Oh, I think that's not fair, right? It's not. Well, it's true though. Like with life, everything's related. There was a brain surgeon, whatever, and she had this. A person had this problem. Like, your consciousness, something was like. There's this feeling. I'm trying to get this point across in a convenient manner. Basically, like Einstein said, everything's relative. Everything is connected. There's no like little bubble that you live in. You're basically made of, like, if you really look into it, it's pretty deep, and it's overwhelming how you take on every detail of the world, and knowing that whatever you do, it matters, because it's all connected. You're all one piece of the world, even though your psyche will tell you that you're not, which is a very useful thing. But everything has a price. What I'm trying to say, in a convenient manner. There's a price to your dreams. Have a price, for example, and you can't be a victim if you want to negotiate with life, because life will beat you down until you don't even know you exist or not. But you gotta keep on fighting. You can't quit. It's like being worthy of something, you know. It's like being the top dog. It's really just a quest to see who's worthy of it, you know. It doesn't have to be like a person versus person thing. It can be really like a concept, an idea, a limiting factor, you know, without a world without a vaccine. You know, it was like the scientists were all saying, are we worthy, you know, of this? And they tried hard, and they got the, you know, vaccine somewhat, vaccines on the way or whatever, you know, coming through. So challenge is good, even if you don't think it's fair. Like, nothing is fair. For example, like, the child is not guilty of the sins of the parents, but they have to pay it all the same, because everything is related. You know, that doesn't seem fair, but it's true. That's why, like, things happen to people that shouldn't happen on, like, a moral one-to-one landscape. But it's not like that, though. It's kind of scary to think that, you know, the world's just not you. You know, you're just a piece of it. Not like a demeaning way, but like it's like almost like a hive mind or a hive connectivity. Not like that, but like there's a connectivity to everything. You think, oh, I'm not related to these people, but we're all on Earth, you know, right now, for at least. And like your fellow person, like, you'd be surprised. The person you hate, for example, if things are different, they're born at a different time, or like in your family or something like that. You know, there's a lot of things that are relative. People fighting in wars, for example, born usually, it's all usually a local thing. Most problems are local. Most conflicts are local, and like a lot of people justify to judge other people because they don't have any emotional connection to them. They don't know them, you know, or they don't want to know them, or whatever. So, but if you really take the time to really think, you know, this person could have been, you know, your sibling or your brother, you look at them differently, and they'll look at you differently too. So it's just weird, because there's an equalizing factor of people. It doesn't matter where you come from, as long as you're biologically healthy to an extent. You know, like overwhelming of people, you know, like if not directly related, you know, your kids can fall in love with their kids, and your families can be connected. A lot of wars have ended that way. It's a really equalizing thing. Even the Middle East, you know, lots of conflict, but a lot of wars ended that way. Marriage, you know. Europe, look at Europe, all this big cluster of little kingdoms. Marriage was the big unifier. You know, love. You know, it's basically, you know, so is this the people caring about the people around them, you know, because it made sense biologically speaking to carry on. What's the word? It's like generosity, but to your children or your family. It works versus just random. There's like AI little tests for it, but my point is, you should really give a shit about doing things in life, especially hard things that you give a shit about, that you actually have like a passion or a drive, because you're gonna die, right? You're literally you don't have another chance. Or say you do, right? But you think you can just waste this one. Let's say there's a god or something like that, right? And you just waste your chance at life. Like, you're not appreciative. You think you're gonna get the same chance again. Or also, if you have a shitty hand, like, you make the best of it, you know? Like, you're more worthy of what you came out of, you know? You weren't your circumstances, you know, either, so. It's like, there's so much you can do in life. And it's like Tetris. You start off with a few blocks, like your gender and some, you know, instincts, some health conditions. But humans, we can teach things. If you really put skill involved, you add more blocks. And sure, you may start off with different blocks, or some very similar ones, but it doesn't matter. Like Minecraft, you know. We only had, everyone starts with 5 blocks. We shouldn't define them. I know everyone relates to it because they'll start with the same blocks. So it's like a starting kit, so people have nostalgia for the same old stuff because they relate to it, the common denominator and all that. But, life has this great potential. We don't live for like 300 years, though, humans. So overwhelming majority of our potential is lost because we just don't have the time to fully develop ourselves. Majority of human history, we've only lived about 35. So you look at our biology, it's almost like, with women especially, it's kind of sad because it's like the body is almost like plotting against them. Like, oh, you won't live to 35. Oh well, overwhelming majority of human history. That statement would be right. You know, if you roll the dice, if you a factor of time of when you're born was a random factor. The biology of of the modern human, or whatever you want to say it. You wouldn't live. You basically, the most advanced thing would be your instincts. We're biological, we're problem-solving primates. We're ballistic problem-solving primates. Social, ballistic, problem-solving primates. That worked really good. Like, our foot's a compromise in its shape's not perfect. But, my point is, there are differences in biology and stuff, but it's not like a big issue because we basically have having like an empty hard drive. What we fill into the hard drive is really important, not what it looks like or whatever. Well, to a degree, you have formatting errors and all that too, right? But look at that, just talking, it's already done. But my point is, you should give a shit about life and yourself. A lot of times, no one else will. Like, really, when it comes down to it, your things you want the most, you're gonna have to go get them. And you're gonna die anyway, so there's no real meaning to not try. And pain's temporary, right? It's like all that comfort shit is not gonna matter. It's not gonna move humanity forward. It's not gonna, but fulfillment will. Going after shit, and not stop until you do. That matters, right? Because that's how you beat the system. The system of poverty holding people back. Like with this part where humans almost died out because we were starving or some shit from a volcano up in like around Malaysia or something, and like the caldera is still there, like the scar of the volcano. We had like 10,000 people, something ridiculous. We lost all of our muscle because we had like spec into like eating our muscle to survive starvation. So like we had this like almost extinction period of humanity. And we bounced back from then, but since then we've had like poverty been killing us. Like most of our time, like 70-80% of like 4/5 was just like spent finding the means to get the 6 basic needs. Like you need food, you need shelter, you need water, or you die. Especially in Canada, the shelter thing's not an option. You can't live out you have to have shelter. I know some places in the world it's kind of nice that you don't have to, like India for certain places, but near the equator kind of almost, but like definitely in Canada, it's too cold, it kills you. It brings people together when the alternative is death. You're pretty friendly with your neighbor when your lives depend on it. And that's why Northern Hemispheres are more friendly, a lot more, because they're like realize you see the common value in people, because Really, you have to band together. It's also is a common enemy, you know. So that helps too. It also weeds out the weak people who don't like everything their way. They go temper tantrum. Makes you strong because you have adversity. But it's also like quite limiting because the resources are limited. You can't boom populations. So you don't have the whole ease of living cities offer, but to a degree, I think infrastructure can change. Like Sweden, kind of, you can change that, or Norway. Just do things smart, especially with the robots now. That's basically like mechanical slave labor, which you've always had. Slave labor, it's just part of human history. It's like, I don't like it, but it's like a lot of things are built on it basically. We have slave labor now, basically. You know, the rich win and the poor lose. It's just, you know, a bit more social safety nets, basically. Anyway, point is, there's a lot of potential in life, and you shouldn't give up. Even if it's unfair or you don't have the quite brain to understand all of it, you should try, because you always get what you put in. The effort, that is. It may not be exactly what you think you should get, but it'll be something that you may deserve. You know, that's kind of scary. Also, there's a price to everything. I'm trying to get to this point where everything has a price, and that's scary. We realize how big the price is a lot of the time. But if you get better, you get good at solving the data of how expensive things are. You can calculate. You can negotiate with life. You know, say you have a dream, say you want to be a race car driver or something like that, you know, you're gonna realize that, okay, it's gonna cost a lot of time, failure, money. You also can do more exact calculations, like don't die early on, because you won't be able to have the time to develop your skills. You know, don't be stupid, don't drink and all that stuff, because it'll hold you back. So then you understand also, like, you know, there's also a monetary thing, of course, right? But when you really start like crystallizing your, you know, and really like look at life, not like as through emotions. There's a moral landscape, don't get me wrong, right? But you don't look at your emotions as the end all be all. You look at like emotions are good guiding principles. They're not like they're like the lines on a road, you know. They're not the road itself. They're just pretty good indicators of like of doing things. Like guidelines, you know. They're not how you should drive or how fast you should drive. They're, well, kind of like signs, I guess, too. They're indicators, you know. And sometimes they're just too much, and people get overwhelmed. You know, that's fair. But like, you shouldn't worship them. If that makes any sense. Like emotions, they're instinctual, but they're not everything. That's why being a victim I think is bad, because you end up worshiping your emotions too much. You like, oh, I feel bad, so therefore life should be this. Life doesn't care what you think or what you feel. Life cares what you do, right? They're like the road markers. Life doesn't care how you're driving. Life cares where you're going, you know. It doesn't matter if you're on a tricycle or if you're on a bicycle or train, or it doesn't matter. You're all going somewhere, right? That's the point.